Me? For real? Oh. You can call from the Bahamas using Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards for much less.
Hey girl, are you ready?
You get free unlimited on-island calls, voicemail, and no internet service or ID is required.
Hello?
Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards.
Hey, vai bien.
Staying in touch never sounded so good.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, the FNM blasting the proposed extension of the BTC monopoly. My call MPV Alfred Gray snaps back at suggestions the government politicized the Mayaguana tragedy. How government plans to protect the newest downtown feature from vagrants. A Bahamian headed to London Fashion Week after winning big on a Caribbean fashion competition.
Theodore, congratulations. You are the Season 3 winner of Mission Catwalk.
A new Bahamian rum on the market, rich with history, plus police summer safety tips. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige McCartney, and MB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to MB12. On Thursday, Prime Minister Perry Christie said he was considering extending BTC's cellular monopoly for an as-yet unspecified period of time in exchange for majority control of the former state telecom provider. Well, today, the Free National Movement is hitting out, saying such a move would be a betrayal of the trust of the Bahamian people and bad policy to boot. Juan McCartney reports.
In a press release, FNM Chairman Darren Cash slammed Christie and the PLP, saying he believes the Prime Minister has already given an agreement to BTC owner Cable and Wireless to extend the exclusivity period. Christie, of course, said no agreement has yet been reached, and this, for now, is just a consideration.
In any event, Cash said that a decision to extend the monopoly would be a giant step backward because the ultimate goal of privatization was to open the industry to competition. The only way service and rates will improve, Cash said, is through competition. Cash added that the Prime Minister must also consider what he called is the reality that a delay in opening up the sector would be a very costly undertaking and would have significant and negative ramifications in other sectors of the economy, not just telecommunications. Cash also said the Prime Minister must consider the financial impact on the users of BTC's services, not the least of which are tourism and financial services. In the release, Cash called Christie BTC's chief critic and said delaying opening up the market would mean denying aspiring Bahamians the opportunity to participate in the extremely profitable cell phone market. Cash accused Prime Minister Christie of intentionally keeping Bahamians in the dark. Cash also contended that the only way cell service and rates will improve is by opening up the market. Cash went on to claim that it was always clear that recapturing controlling interests in BTC would be a very expensive proposition, and the government clearly doesn't have the money needed to complete the transaction. Cash said the Prime Minister needs to commit to the public that any new scheme with BTC will be put before Parliament for a full airing and debate. He said Bahamians are entitled to know the scope of any deal and the price they're being forced to pay for what he called the Prime Minister's bragging rights over a pre-general election promise.
According to BTC's current agreement with the government, its exclusivity period is set to end in March of next year. However, so far, there's been no indication as to how long any extension would last if such an agreement is reached. Reporting for MB12, I'm Juan McCartney.
Well, responding to claims that some members of the Christie cabinet politicized the Mayaguana airport runway accident in April, Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources V. Alfred Gray is now defending himself. Royston Jones has more.
Outside the House of Assembly, Gray insists he did not politicize the issue first and said Cawley has only highlighted the issues surrounding the Mayaguana airport after the tragedy, but said nothing while he was a minister in the former Ingram administration or as a senator.
I think Mr. Colley needs to speak to his former Prime Minister and his former colleagues and take stock of his own political speaking to this issue. Because if he was interested in Mayaguana, the 15 years that the FNM was in power, he would have made sufficient noise, in my view, that they would have had to put light on the runway from the island which he was born. But he didn't care about it then. He just got to be concerned after the accident, and perhaps rightly so. But it's not good enough for him to be so concerned about lights now.
He was responding to former Cabinet Minister Sidney Colley, who told our news team last month that Minister of Transport and Aviation Glenys Hannah Martin and Gray used the deaths of his relatives for political gain. Edith Colley, 81, Colley's mother, Enemy Polowick, his sister, and her husband Tim Polowick, a Canadian, were killed on April 4th when a Lee airplane crashed into their truck on the Mayaguana Airport runway around 1 a.m. Gray says there's no need to play the blame game, but he once again says the Free National Movement's decision to delay and reverse the I-Group's development in Mayaguana resulted in there being no lights on the runway.
They did not go on with the development until 2 or 3 months before the elections of 2012. I'm saying having stopped them, or they're having stopped for 4 or 5 years, has to be considered or factored into this equation. I'm not sure why Mr. Colley wants to politicize this, because if he wants to talk politics, that's really the corn my August wonder grind. I will speak to him politically any day at any time. But don't blame the PLP for not lighting the airport when his government had 15 years in office and he never raised it. Never raised it. That's not right.
But Colley accused successive governments of ignoring the deteriorating Mayaguana airport. As it relates to lighting on the Mayaguana airport runway, which the government promised to install just over 2 months ago, Gray insists that emergency solar lights are fitted and in use.
The lights are installed. They are put down at nights, and they're taken up during the day because the runway is presently under construction, and the construction should be finally completed by August, when the lights will be finally and permanently put down. But they are solar lights, so you can take them up and put them back down, and that's what happens every day.
Lights are expected to be permanently installed within 2 months. Gray says the government is committed to having commercial flights returned to Mayaguana, a desire shared by Colley. Reporting for NB12, I'm Royston Jones.
Well, now that the nearly $2.5 million Pompei Square is open to the public, the concern about keeping the space clean and crime-free now arises. On Friday, Downtown Nassau Partnership Managing Director Ed Field said that the private sector had already provided a budget to keep the space clean and well-maintained. Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe also said that police have committed to keeping the site safe. And then there's the problem of vagrancy downtown. Police recently locked up about a half a dozen people for vagrancy in the heart of Nassau. Wilchcombe says when it comes to Pompei Square, loitering will be carefully monitored.
We're going to start to manage it better and make sure that we're able to cause persons who have nowhere to go, to provide them with a place to go, to offer them other opportunities. What we don't want to do is we don't want to cause individuals to face difficulties. We know they're facing difficulties, but you don't want to get to the point where you tell them they cannot enjoy their own country. So what we have to do is manage it. The management of this will make a difference.
Well, in addition to the economic and aesthetic boost Pompei Square is expected to give downtown Nassau, the Prime Minister also talked about plans for a boardwalk downtown. Wilchcombe talked about where the boardwalk would be and the viability of Pompei Square itself.
We want to take it as far as John Canoe Beach and Aowaki from here, so just tells you how far they want to go, and maybe as far as the bridge. So, it's about providing the opportunity. We want people to see our country more, appreciate what all we have to offer, understand the history of our nation. But remember this now, many Bahamians don't understand the history, so it's educational because many Bahamians are going to come here now. I understand from Ed that there are many bookings taking place already. People want to use Pompei Square. So this means a lot to us.
The square, which also contains the Pompei Museum and Siemens Chapel, officially opened Friday night. It features a gazebo for performances, jet water fountains, and public restrooms in a landscaped area.
We are concerned about all the negatives. We are concerned about being criticized for not having enough to offer to the visiting public. So we are very pleased about it, very proud of the work that's done by Ed Fields and his team, and we look forward to the further work that's going to happen on Main Street and downtown Nassau.
Well, Bahamian designer Theodore Elliott is on his way to have his first complete collection shown at London Fashion Week after winning the Jamaican fashion design competition Mission Catwalk. Elliott was one of 2 Bahamians who made it to the top 3 of the competition, which aired its season finale last night right here on Cable 12. Judges said they were highly impressed with Elliott's pre-fall collection, which was titled Hello London. The collection mixed earthy tones with a pop of emerald green and sophisticated designs. Here's a clip from the TV show last night with the designer explaining the inspiration behind the collection.
Considering that the collection is entitled Hello London, I pulled on very iconic British influences. When you look at the fringe skirt that I produced for the collection, it's inspired by the bearskin hats that the foot guards wear. Some of my pieces were also inspired by the iconic British model Twiggy, the polka dots, the large circles, but I didn't want to focus too much on fabrications. For me, in my collection, the beauty was in the details.
Well, after winning and as the credits rolled, Theo thanked God for helping him through the competition.
I know without a shadow of a doubt that I would not have finished my collection last night if it hadn't been for him. So I feel good. I'm happy to win, happy to represent the Bahamas. This is the first time the Bahamas has been on Mission Catwalk. So it's a win for the Bahamas. It's not just a win for me, you know, putting the Bahamas on the map in the Caribbean and throughout the world.
Elliott also gave this bit of advice to young, aspiring designers.
You're never gonna make it unless you push. Even when the road gets tough, keep at it. That's the best advice I could give. Just believe in yourself.
And on behalf of all of us here at NB12, congratulations, Theo.